am 83 years old, and I am going to tell you 12 things about getting older that nobody warned me about. Not one of them. And I have 5 children, a doctor I have seen every 3 months for 20 years, and more well-meaning friends than I can count. Not a single one of them sat me down and said, "Laura, here is what is actually coming." So I am going to do it. I am going to sit down at this table and tell you the truth, all 12 of them, because you deserve to know what to expect, and more importantly, you deserve to know that none of it means you are finished. I need you to understand something before I start. I am not going to sugarcoat any of this, but I am also not going to tell you that aging is only loss, only decline, only things being taken away. That is not the whole truth either. The whole truth is harder and more interesting than that. So stay with me. The first one is forgetting names, and I mean the names of people you have known for years. I ran into my neighbor Carol at the pharmacy about 2 years ago. Carol, who I have waved to every single morning for 11 years, and I stood there smiling, and her name was simply gone, vanished. I talked to her for 4 minutes and called her nothing. Went home and sat down, and it came back to me in the kitchen. Carol. Of course it was Carol. I was embarrassed for a day, and then I made a decision. I started keeping a small notebook, not a medical diary, just names, small details, things that matter to people. When I know I am going to see someone, I look at the notes first. It helps. The embarrassment only becomes a problem if you let it stop you from connecting with people entirely. Don't let it. The second thing is exhaustion that arrives without warning. Not tiredness, exhaustion. The kind that sits down on top of you in the middle of making lunch. I would be standing at the counter cutting an apple, and suddenly I would need to sit down. Just sit for 10 minutes. And I would feel foolish about it, which made it worse. What I finally understood is that your body is not betraying you. It is communicating with you. Honor it. Break your day into smaller pieces. Rest without guilt. Guilt about resting is a waste of what little energy you have. The third is weight that appears without invitation. I did not change what I was eating. I did not stop moving. And yet, somewhere around 81, my body simply began operating on different terms. The metabolism slows. It just does. I stopped fighting it the way I was fighting it and started working with what I actually had. Smaller portions, more vegetables from the garden, a walk every morning even when my hip complained. The walk is non-negotiable. It is non-negotiable because it is not just about weight. It is about keeping the machinery moving. The fourth is the medical appointments. The sheer volume of them. After Vincent died and I got older, it felt like my entire calendar became a series of waiting rooms. Blood pressure, bone density, eye exam, the cardiologist, the rheumatologist, the follow-up to the follow-up. I was exhausted by the management of my own body before the appointments even happened. Here is what I did. I bought a simple calendar, paper, not a phone, and I wrote every appointment in it in red pen. And before each one, I wrote down 3 questions I wanted to ask. 3, that is it. It gave me a sense of being in charge of something, rather than just being shuffled between rooms. You are allowed to be in charge of your own health. In fact, you are required to be. The fifth thing is the concentration, or rather, the loss of it. I have read my whole life. Books were how I processed everything: grief, boredom, winter, loneliness. After Vincent died, I would pick up a novel and 20 minutes later realize I had read the same paragraph 4 times and retained nothing. It scared me more than almost anything else on this list. I thought it meant something was deeply wrong. What I eventually learned is that concentration, like muscle, needs to be worked. I started reading in shorter sessions, 30 minutes, then a break. I do the crossword every morning. I listen to the radio and follow the news carefully. The mind responds to being asked to work. It just needs to be asked consistently and patiently, not all at once in a panic. The sixth is the one I want to spend the most time on because I think it is the one people are least prepared for. It is loneliness. The kind that comes from watching your circle shrink and not knowing how to rebuild it. My friend Ruth moved to be near her daughter in another state about 4 years ago. My friend Margaret passed away 2 winters ago. My friend Grace, we had known each other since our 40s. Grace's memory had gone so far by the end that she no longer knew my name when I called. I kept calling anyway, because she still laughed at the right moments, and that was enough. But I lost her in stages, which is its own kind of grief. There were weeks after Vincent died when the phone did not ring once between Sunday and Friday. I would sit at this table and listen to the silence and think, I wonder if anyone would notice. Not in a dark way, just a factual way, a quiet inventory of how small my world had gotten. After a particularly long silent week, I started writing things down, just for myself, notes about what I was figuring out, how to make the silence feel like choice rather than abandonment, how to build something new when the old architecture of your social life had mostly fallen away. Little rules, small truths. It was my granddaughter Claire who found that notebook months later and read the whole thing without telling me first. She came back the next day and said, Gran, other women need to read this. She was the one who put it online. She called it The Ultimate Guide to Freedom. I still feel a little strange about that, honestly, but I will come back to it at the end of this video. What I want to tell you right now about loneliness is this. You cannot wait for the connections to come back on their own. They will not. You have to build deliberately. I made a point of saying yes to things I might previously have declined. A neighbor's coffee invitation, a church group I had never tried, a phone call with my granddaughter Claire every Thursday evening that she started and I have maintained. Small threads woven carefully add up to something that holds. The seventh thing is mobility, the quiet loss of it. I did not notice it happening. That is what I want you to hear. I noticed the results, the holding of the railing, the thinking twice before bending down, the avoiding of anything that required me to get on the floor. I had been making adjustments without naming them as losses, and by the time I named them, the fall had already happened. I will not go through the fall in detail today. I have told that story before. What I will tell you is this. 11 hours on a bathroom floor will clarify your thinking about what matters. After I came home from Meadowbrook, after I fought my way back out of that place and came home to this house, I started moving every single day without exception. Chair exercises, slow walks, balance work near the kitchen counter, not because I loved it, because I understood finally at a cellular level what the alternative looked like. Move, every day, whatever your body will allow. The eighth is sleep. The cruelty of being tired and unable to sleep at the same time. I would be exhausted by 8 in the evening and awake at 2 in the morning with no way back, lying there in the dark, listening to the house. I tried warm milk. I tried reading. I tried not reading. What finally made a real difference was consistency. The same time to bed, the same time to rise, no exceptions, even on the nights it had not worked. Your body learns the schedule eventually. Also, and I say this from experience, stop the caffeine by 2 in the afternoon. I know that sounds early. Do it anyway. The ninth is the vision and the hearing, the two senses that connect you to other people. I got my reading glasses years ago and resisted the progressive lenses until my eye doctor simply refused to negotiate with me any further. I resist things out of pride. It is one of my less attractive qualities. The hearing started going more recently, and I have not yet fully made my peace with that. I will be honest. Conversations in noisy rooms are hard. Restaurants are a particular challenge. What I have learned to do is position myself so I am facing the person I most need to hear, and I ask people to repeat themselves without apologizing for asking. You do not owe anyone an apology for your body's changes. The 10th is temperature sensitivity, and this one surprised me. I have always run warm. Vincent used to joke that I was the household thermostat, but somewhere around 80, cold started going through me in a way it never had before. I wear layers now regardless of the season. I keep a cardigan on the back of every chair in the house. It sounds small. It matters more than you would think. The small physical adjustments, made without drama, are what keep you moving through your days comfortably. The 11th is the temper, the shorter fuse. I am not proud of this one, but I am going to tell you the truth. There were months after my fall, after the time at Meadowbrook, after coming home and fighting to reclaim my own life. There were months where I was angry at things that didn't deserve my anger. The television, the mail, a jar that wouldn't open, small things that landed on top of large things and tipped me over. What helped was naming it, saying out loud, I am not angry at this jar. I am angry about something larger, and I need to sit with that for a moment. It sounds simple, and it is not simple, but it is true. Know what you are actually feeling. The irritability is usually grief or fear wearing a disguise. The 12th thing, and I have saved this one because it is the one that carries the most weight, is the loss of independence, or more precisely, the fear of it. After my fall, after Meadowbrook, my children had a plan for me. A very organized, very loving, completely wrong plan. And for a period of time, I went along with parts of it because I was frightened and I was not sure anymore what I was capable of. That compliance nearly cost me everything. What I know now with complete certainty is that asking for help with specific things does not mean surrendering your life. You can ask someone to carry the groceries in from the car and still be the person who decides what happens in your own home. Those are two entirely different things. Learn the difference. Protect it fiercely. About the ultimate guide to freedom. I have to be honest with you. My son David called me again this week. He has called 3 times this month asking me to take it down. He says it embarrasses the family. He says I am making private things public. Linda agrees with him, and I have sat at this table more than once thinking about just quietly letting it go, because I am 83 years old, and conflict takes something out of me that takes longer to come back than it used to. But then I read a letter from a woman who said she had been on the floor for 9 hours and thought she was done, and she read what I wrote and decided she wasn't. And I cannot take it down. The link is in the pinned comment below this video. I do not know how much longer I will have the nerve to keep it there. David is pressing, and I am tired, but it is there right now. If something I said today found you where you actually are, go click it. Do not wait for a better moment. If any of these 12 things sounded like your life, leave me a like. It tells me to keep going. I read every comment you leave here, every single one. So if you have been sitting with one of these quietly and wondering if you are the only one, tell me, you are not. Subscribe if you want to keep talking. Every week I sit down at this table and I tell you the truth about what this actually looks like from the inside, because someone has to. And at 83, I have decided that someone is me.